In this question, we are given the graph of y equal to f of x, and we are asked to determine the points when the first and second derivative are both positive, and the points when the first and second derivative are both negative, and the point when the first derivative is negative but the second derivative is positive. So first, we draw the graph of the first derivative and the second derivative using the graph of y equal to f of x. As you can see here I have drawn the graph of the first derivative using the information that at this point the graph of the y equal to f of x is 0. That is the first derivative of the graph of y equal to f of x is 0 at these points. That is this point as well as this point, because we have a horizontal tangent, so which means it will become 0 here as well as it will become 0 here. So correspondingly I have drawn the points. I have marked the points first, and then I identified on what interval the graph of the y equal to f of x, the slope is positive as well as negative. So if you consider the graph of the y equal to f of x starting from this interval to this interval, the slope is negative, which means uh, you have to draw it like this. That is, I have drawn like this, as you can see here, till from this point to this interval the graph of the first derivative is negative, and similarly from this interval to this interval the slope is positive. So that is why I have drawn like this from this interval to this interval, and after which the slope is still negative. So I have drawn it like this. Now considering the graph of the second derivative, all that we have to look at is this point. That is, at this point the slope of the first derivative is itself 0. So that is why correspondingly I have marked this and made that I have marked this point, and then to the left of this point the graph of the first derivative, that is the slope of the first derivative, which in fact is the second derivative, is positive. So that is why from this interval to this interval I have drawn it as positive, and after which it is negative. So that is why after the point where the first derivative slope of the first derivative is 0, I have drawn it like a straight line. So now let me remove all these markings, and I have also marked the corresponding points by just drawing the corresponding vertical lines. Now we can easily say which points the first derivative as well as the second derivative are positive or negative, or one of them is positive and one of them is negative. Now let's answer the first question, that is part A. We have to identify the points where the first and second derivative are both positive. So consider only the graph of these two, that is the first derivative and the second derivative. If you look at it, we have to ensure that both are positive. So let's first identify on what interval or which are the points in which the first derivative is positive. Only the point B as well as the point C is positive. However, in the graph of the second derivative, point A and point B is positive. But we have to choose only the points both are positive. So only the point B is the point in which the first derivative as well as the second derivative is positive. So the answer for this question is B. Now similarly, to answer the question part B, we have to check in which the points in which points the first derivative as well as the second derivative are both negative. So let's just try to identify. Considering the first derivative, we know that the points A as well as the point E, the first derivative is negative. However, for the second derivative, that is for d2y by dx2, we have 3 points like C, D as well as E. Now if you combine these 2 points and take only the common point, only E is common between these 2 points. So we say that the answer for this question is E. Only for point E, both the first derivative and the second derivative are negative. Now we answered the part C, which is the first derivative is negative. So we know that A and E are the points where the first derivative is negative, and for the second derivative, it is positive. So A and B are positive, out of which we know that the A is a common point. So we say that the answer for this question is point A. So we have answered all the parts wherein We identify the points where one of them is positive, when where both are positive or both are negative, one of them is negative and both are positive.